So you live in a condo. Do you own or rent? Not comfortable with the question, she stood and walked over to the window. We own. He hopped off the edge of his desk. We? She turned to him. I told you I live with someone. His brooding eyes stared right at her, daring her to look away. Well, she wouldn't. Did you think I made it up? Actually, yeah, came his sarcastic reply. Well, now you know. She turned back to the lake. She wasn't going to get sucked into another fight with him. Their snafu at breakfast was all based on physical attraction, but this was about so much more. This was about how she'd left him and now lived with another man. All she could do was remain calm and not engage in any way that would play right into his hands. He stood in front of his desk, tension radiating from the rigidity of his shoulders, when he asked in a rough voice, "What's his name?" At the change in Grant's voice, Brewster sat up on his bed and glanced back and forth between them. Avery. You love him? She turned to him, hoping he would get the point when she said, I do. She saw it, the flash of hurt before he masked it. So it's serious. We own a home together. He shook his head. That's not an answer. She held her hands up, palms out. It's the only one I have. He stalked her, a predatory gleam in his eyes. She knew the look in the right direction. That look alone could get her halfway to a mind-shattering orgasm, something she hadn't experienced since him. Talk about the wrong time to acknowledge that only he had the power to turn her inside out with pleasure, almost to the point of pain. And what about us? Her heart tumbled in her chest. She held eye contact. She needed him to understand, so that no matter how close he got, no matter what he did, she would not back down. There is no us. We kissed, he whispered. His eyes locked on her mouth. She struggled to keep still and not squirm under his intense stare. You kissed me, there's a difference. You kissed me back. He laughed without humor. There's something. At some point, we'll have to address it. She took a deep breath and tried another tactic. Aren't you seeing someone? I mean, you went somewhere Saturday night. A sleepover? He smirked at her. I see someone. So it's not serious? The words were out before she thought about what she had done, and his smile grew. She'd shown an interest. She'd screw up and with a smug expression said he was celebrating his victory. I don't do serious. His tone invited no argument, but the reporter in her wanted to know. So did the woman. Why? I just don't. It was her turn to smirk at him. Now who's full of it? Don't, he bit out. Can't handle it? With surprising speed, he spun toward her. He leaned his face within inches of hers, the muscles along his jaw jumping. Can you, Aaron? Can you handle it? Absolutely. She stood her ground, leaning toward him with almost as much aggression as he'd level at her. I don't do serious because, he closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, she saw more agony in their depths than she thought possible. I'll never give another woman enough of me that she has the power to gut me when she walks away. Not ever again. She couldn't move. She could scarcely even breathe. She should have dropped it, but instead she'd pushed and pushed. She knew she was poking at old wounds, but she needed to hear him say it. She needed to know that it wasn't just his pride that was hurt. She needed to know he was hurting because there was love there and not just a blow to his ego. Now she knew. Sadly, it didn't change a thing. He grabbed his cell and shoved it in his pocket. Get your shoes on. We hike in 5 minutes. He started for the office door. At the mention of a hike, Brewster danced in place, looking up at Grant with his tongue lolling up out of his mouth. Somehow Aaron found her voice. What about the calls you need to make? The calls can wait, he called back as he walked out of the office with his dog in tow.